12:30. Forward. Fold again. Hey, are we
Hello,
live?
everybody.
Yes, we are. So
we're
sorry.
late as usual.
We've got a time confusion here. I'm Naomi, and one of the feeding midwives. This is Hannah, one of the feeding midwives, and we are talking about our infant feeding session. So hopefully some of you will have not given up on us again, and you're going to be here to talk to us and have some questions to ask us as well. So I got the time wrong, which is why we're a bit late. I'm really sorry. I thought it was 12:30. I'm completely confused because we've changed the day and everything. So I'm just going to try and get on live. Are we live now? It says we're live, but I can't see it on. I can't see it on.
To see if anybody can just give us a thumbs up or let us know.
So you're watching, because it does say live, but I can't see it actually live on the Facebook. There we are. I can see it. So I'm going to be looking at the phone to answer questions and things for you. So. Hopefully you've had a good week and you've got lots of questions to ask us. Put your questions down there if you'd like to. Type them in and we will answer them for you. And hopefully you're going to have lots of lovely questions about feeding. So it doesn't matter what the questions are about, as long as it's something to do with feeding. That would be really helpful. So it's things like, are you weaning? Are you doing supplementing? You're doing combined feeding? Are you just breastfeeding, or are you just giving bottles? And have you got questions about any aspects of that? It doesn't matter how silly it is, and hopefully we can answer your questions in full, and you can access our services if you need to. We're based at the John Radcliffe Maternity Hospital, if none of you have seen us before, and so it's services available to and in Oxfordshire, but we can accept questions from anybody wherever you are. Hopefully we've got people watching from all over the country. That would be really great, wouldn't it? Tell us where you are if you're not in Oxfordshire.
I think we've got a message from Helen, Naomi, asking if we've got any good tips for a deep latch. We've got lots of tips for a deep latch. Learning how to get a better attachment at the breast is something that's really difficult to describe in words and much easier to describe in pictures or with a doll, or even better face to face. So we do have a doll here. The really important thing, Helen, with getting a deep latch is making sure, I know it sounds funny, but making sure that your nipple, the tip of your nipple, lines up with the baby's nose and not with the baby's mouth. So you don't want to go to put your baby opposite your nipple with its mouth. You want to put your baby's nose opposite.
So that's what we're looking for. I don't know if you can see that easily, but it's lining it up. It's a bit shiny, isn't it?
And then if you can see, the mother feeding is holding the baby's neck and shoulders, but not the back of the baby's head. So thank you Naomi, holding the back of your baby's neck and shoulders and lining them up like Naomi's shown you with the nose opposite the nipple will mean that once the nipple brushes your baby's nose and top lip, what will happen is your baby will then tilt its head right back, flip its head right back if you're not touching the back of its head, and then its mouth will be in the right place. And that's why we call it latching, because it is a bit of a two-step thing, but it's very quick. So what you want is for your baby to start nose to nipple and tilt its head right back and lead with its chin. So its chin will push into your breast and it will just make it over the top of the nipple.
And it literally skims the gum ridge.
So you don't want bullseye like this. What you want is to come for the bottom jaw to hit here and for the top lip just to make it over the top of the nipple. So it's actually quite wonky, it's quite asymmetrical. We don't want this, we want this.
As you can see on that
and there's another lovely picture here. There's also a leaflet called Off to the Best Start, which I'll write in the comments, and I'll also put a link in in a minute. Off to the Best Start leaflet, and that has some of those really good pictures in it, Helen. So see if you can have a look at that. You can also look at it online. You might have been given one. You should have been given one at your scan if you're pregnant or recently had your baby, or if you've still got it hanging around. And you should have been given it again after you had your baby. But really, essentially, it's just getting that nose to nipple position, and that's in any position that you choose. So cross cradle like this, it's nose to nipple, not holding the back of your baby's head, making sure your baby's facing its food, so no tummy up to the ceiling. And underarm, it's exactly the same. So bring your baby's nose to nipple, and help your baby to push its bottom jaw in first, so chin leading into your breast, and then it will just latch over the top, just skimming the top of the nipple.
Leaflet that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it has got lovely pictures in it.
How old's your baby, Helen? Have you got a teeny tiny newborn, or are you feeding a 1 or 2 year old that's forgotten how to latch? Maybe you can let us know, and we'll maybe try and signpost you to some face-to-face support. So sometimes older babies. Oh, he's he or she's 3 weeks. Okay. Are you sore, Helen?
Still learning, aren't you?
Yeah, you're still both getting the hang of it. It can take a little while sometimes. So you can get some good support from Oxfordshire Breastfeeding Support. They have a website, OBS. You can also get some good support from your health visiting team and from La Latch League International. There's a group in Oxfordshire, so La Latch Oxfordshire is a really good breastfeeding charity, the biggest one. And if you're having really persistent pain, then you could drop us an email if you wanted to come and see us in clinic with your baby. We would talk to you over the phone, see if you'd be suitable for a clinic appointment with us. So there's lots of support out there if
Both
you're not getting a comfy
is
latch.
another one in Bicester. That's with Trudy Brock. She does a free drop-in, and that's at the Emmanuel Church in Barbary Place in Burr Park in Bicester, and that's 9:30 till 11 on a Tuesday. So that's running alongside a toddler group. So there are mums and babies and toddlers in that group. So it's very sociable. So that is also another source of support. And Trudy does do extra support, but one-to-one. But that's a drop-in, that one. So
Helen, did you mean 3 months, not 3 weeks? Maybe? Gosh, 12-hour shifts away from your little one, that will be challenging, won't it? So, and you say he'll be 9 months when you're going back. So usually babies who are 9 months have started to experiment a little. Oh, he's 3 weeks now.
3 weeks, yeah.
And you, sorry, I'm getting confused. So you're going
about
back.
8 months
Oh, you'll have
time.
a kit day in March, and then he'll be 9-ish months
when you go back to work. So it'll be very different at 9 months. It will be very different to 3 weeks, and I know it's quite overwhelming, isn't it, when you've got a baby that's so new and you're learning all the new things about feeding and frequency of feeds, and if you haven't quite got a deep enough latch, sometimes they feed a bit more frequently, and that gets quite overwhelming, doesn't it? But they're learning like you are, and it gets better. But by 9 months he'll be on solids probably, and he will be having 8 feeds a day probably still, but he will probably know the pattern, and he probably would be able to take other things other than breast by 9 months. If you have to give your baby a cup, for instance, or a beaker to drink from. So if you're away for 12 hours, you can pump while you're at work, and ask your manager. I'm not sure you work, but if it's NHS in Oxfordshire, we have got support for breastfeeding working with us. But if you're not working in the health service and it's another 12 hours shift somewhere else, you need to find out what they've got to support you, because there are they do have to put certain things in place.
So it's a legal requirement to provide you with a private room which you can lock, where you can express in private, and to provide you with a fridge where you can store your milk. So those two things are your maternity rights.
The Maternity Alliance website will help you on that one. You've got more rights if your baby is below 6 months than you have over 6 months, because babies are weaned generally by 6 months. So, but you still have lots of support by law, and your employer should be supporting you, and you shouldn't be told to go into a toilet to express. There should be space for you to do it that's clean, and you can store your milk.
And when we say weaned, we mean just starting foods, because at 6 months, some babies are eating loads of food and they're eating 3 meals a day at 6 months, and they're really into their food. And some babies are some babies are a bit slow, and they really follow the food before one is just for fun, and they're still sort of mostly throwing it around, and not very much gets into the baby. So it's really about seeing how your baby gets on with the solid food. So hang on. Oh, sorry. So your baby's 7 to 8 months now. Sorry, that's what confused me. I was trying to work out how time sped up between 3 weeks and 9 months at the end of April. Yeah, I was confused. Thank you for clarifying, Hannah. Yeah, so you're making a lot of mess, but weaning onto solids is a bit slow. Does he like to drink from a cup at all? A lot of mothers find that babies don't want to drink their mum's milk out of anything but the breast.
It warm from the breast.
And mothers go to great pains to express for the baby, and the person who's looking after your baby often says he'll drink water, he'll drink diluted juice, he'll drink everything, cow's milk, but he won't drink breast milk out of the cup.
Yeah, this is Hannah, not Helen. That's confused.
Oh, sorry, and that's confused me.
Yeah,
so, I'm sorry.
Hannah, if you're at the JR, then we have got a pump room on level 6 on the maternity, which has been beautifully done for staff. We've got some funding from one of the doctors from the JR2 over in the general side, and she gave us some funding for making the room, even nicer for staff.
And there's some hospital grade pumps in there. We also have kits.
I mean, hopefully you've got pumps on the children's
ward,
haven't you, as well? But the staff should be supporting you. Your manager should be supporting you with somewhere to pump privately in the JR. And the trust has signed up for Baby Friendly initiative, which means that they support all people that are in the hospital that are giving their babies breast milk to do that. And so the chief executive, when we went for it about 8 or 9 years ago, signed to say he supported everybody in this trust. So that means all sites within this hospital support mothers and anyone that's a patient to support making breast milk and feeding babies breast milk.
Any queries, Hannah, drop us an email, infantfeeding.team@ouh.nhs.uk, and we can help set you up with the expressing room on level 6 in women's if you need it, or if that's a bit far, we can help you talk through options nearer to your area. And Helen, sorry I got so confused. I think Helen and Hannah, the simple alliteration was enough to confuse me, which is a bit worrying. So apologies, and I understand. So Helen, your baby's 3 weeks old, and I would really, really encourage you, Helen, to try and get some face-to-face support.
Yeah.
I would really try and go to latch or OBS or one of those community-based supports where you can actually get somebody to watch you attaching your baby and see what you're doing, and then maybe give you some suggestions and help. And it's really, really the best way to get the help.
In breastfeeding, it's not inches.
And timing, seconds. So, and if you're really struggling to get that support out in the community, then also drop us an email or give us a call. All our contact details are on our webpage, Infant Feeding webpage, OUH page. So get in touch, Helen, and we'll see if we can bring you into clinic if you're still really struggling and not getting the support. Okay, so don't give up. If you need the support, do get in touch with us.
And your baby's sort of onto solids now, so he'll be getting into the swing of it a little bit more in another month's time. And I don't think you've said where your baby's going, whether you're doing nights, have you? So whether it's days or nights that you're doing, it's really tricky, isn't it?
Oh, that's lovely. So Helen's just come back saying she's going to try and get to the Abingdon Breastfeeding Cafe tomorrow.
Brilliant.
That's a brilliant idea,
really,
Helen.
Sue will be wonderful, and the team there will be wonderful to support you.
Hopefully you'll meet Sue, Richard. She's lovely. And if you just keep in touch if you don't get the support, but I'm pretty sure you'll get some really good help there tomorrow. We've got Jenna.
I've been breastfeeding for just over a year, but it's really draining me and I'm struggling. He really isn't massive on food, so he just wants breast constantly. If I go out for the day and leave him with his dad, he's absolutely fine for the day, but if I'm there, my gosh, all he does is feed. He really is not a fan of actual food. I've suffered with postnatal depression, oh dear, this time round, and this hasn't helped. Is there any way to help wean him off my breast?
So I think the first thing to say is it is really hard, and well done you for getting to a year. It's so hard, and it's so hard sometimes, you know, when you just want to take a shower and they yell and scream and they're so upset because there's that tiny distance of separation, and then daddy or whoever goes into the shower and you look at them and say, come on, start screaming now, daddy's in the shower, and there's no response because it's about their connection to you, and they want mama. It's hard, it's really hard to be so ferociously loved and needed, and you've made it through the first year, which is amazing. I think if you're really feeling at the point where you would like to talk about weaning, then I would really encourage you to get in touch with the Latch League or read some of their weaning articles. They're really the experts in longer term feeding of babies, so they really understand and get what it's like to be feeding an older baby, and they will give you some really gentle suggestions and talk through with you if that's really what you want to do, and help you help it become clearer in your mind sometimes if you bounce it off somebody else, to find out if you really do want to wean, and if you do, they'll help you with some gentle techniques of how to slowly slow it down. You can find La Leche League. I'll put the information in the comments as well, but you can call and talk to a leader, either a local leader, or you can call the national helpline, or you can put a helpline form in as well. So there's lots of different ways, and there's also live chat on their website, so there's lots of different ways of contacting them, just to get that opportunity to have a sounding board and talk to somebody about that weaning process, and maybe really supportive and helpful for you to talk to somebody who understands what feeding an older baby's like. And you can also get in touch with your health visitor or Oxfordshire Breastfeeding Support. They're also there for you with feeding an older baby. So I would say get the support to discuss your weaning journey and really talk through what you think might work for you. So I would definitely try that.
And, get lots of support in terms of if your mood is low. Talk to your health visitors about that, or your GP if you're really struggling. And do you have some, some really good support network with friends and things with babies about the same age? Because that's always really helpful, that you get support from other mums that are feeling the same as you. That is one of the things that I think.
And you're not alone, are you?
And I think with La Leche it is peer support as well, where people that are supporting you have often had the same things as you've had, that they tend to put in touch with people that have had similar experiences, that have come through it, and then they've got training as well. So that is really important, that you get that support to keep you going and to make it worthwhile.
So Jenna, I'm just going to do a bit of typing. Hi Trudy, thank you for saying hi. I'm going to quickly put some information here to remind myself, and I will add the links at the end of the session so that you can click on them for further support. So the charity is called La Leche League, and they have lots of good info about weaning, but also feeding older babies, going back to work. They're really, really helpful. Feeding toddlers, and there's a wonderful book. It's quite an old book by a lady with a really hilarious name, Nancy Bumgarner, but it's called Mothering Your Nursing Toddler. It's a really good book. It's a revelation. It talks about nursing manners and how to put some gentle nursing boundaries in place, so that could be quite helpful as well. That might help you decide whether some of that's possible or whether weaning is the only option. But the support is out there, And people are feeding older babies, and people are finding it challenging and rewarding in equal measure. So please do reach out to those experts.
If you talk to other mothers about it, they'll come to you and say, yes, I'm still feeding, but it's a bit of a closet thing. You know, I think that a lot of people don't talk about it publicly because they are actually judged. And, when you actually come out and say it, you'll find that there's an awful lot of other people that are feeding beyond one. And that it's a completely normal thing to do, and that's where babies expect to be for the first two years of their life, if that's what you do as a dyad and that's what you choose to have with your relationship. So I think that be brave and talk to people, and approach your health visitor as well to get support. That's really important.
Yeah, you said that you've tried hiding your breast and he screams, and it's so hard to know if he's actually hungry. It is really difficult because their brains are exploding, and sometimes when we push our children away, they want to cling closer, and I know that's hard, but sometimes, they sort of pick up, they get quite confused about what's happening because you're feeling quite overwhelmed, so you're trying to get some distance from them, and that in itself can make some children panic a little bit, and then they want to cling on tighter. So I really, really think if you could get in touch with the latch, they would just be such a support to you, and you'd probably realise that this is not just you on your own.
And it's also more than food.
Yeah.
Breastfeeding is more than food. It's not just about nutrition, it's about the whole relationship, and babies know that.
Yeah.
And it's what you're doing is growing your baby's brain, you're making them more mature, you're enabling them to have good relationships as they grow up. So you're going to have a secure baby, a secure toddler, a secure child, and a secure adult. And that enables you to form relationships as you get older and trust. And part of that is this long-term breastfeeding, having the baby close, but you have to weigh up what's right for you as a dyad. And some babies choose to stop feeding before the mum's ready, and some mums want to stop before the baby's ready. And there isn't a right and a wrong.
True. And remember, the World Health Organization does say 6 months exclusive breastfeeding, and then 2 years is still of enormous benefit to the immune system. So they recommend 2 years of breastfeeding, and then as long as the pair wish. So it really is supported by all the research, and we live in a Western culture where it's not normal to be feeding older babies, but actually if you look at it worldwide and as a species, it's a very, very normal thing to be doing, feeding a toddler. It doesn't mean it's easy, especially in a society where that's not supported, and I think that's sometimes the hardest thing. So it's really, really, Jenna, seeking out that support for the situation that you're in, because it is out there. It's just that we live in a society that doesn't value that kind of commitment that mothers make, and that kind of sacrifice. And it really is hard sometimes, but it's so, so worthwhile, and only you know when that journey is coming to an end, and it can really help to talk that through with somebody.
Yeah. So, it's really, it's as you feel that you need to do, really. And it will be the right answer for you, what you decide, and that's really important. Helen's replied saying thank you, hoping to have, you said that you're going to get to the adult and breastfeeding clinic.
Jenna also says feeding gymnastics are also well underway. I'm totally in your situation at the moment at home, so I get that. You're feeding upside down with your baby's foot in your mouth and on your head and behind your shoulders, and they're really taking nipple protractility to its limit, so trying to stay attached while turning around to see what else is happening in the room. So these are all quite, unfortunately, very, very common and normal sort of developmental stages of a nursing toddler. The more mums you meet who are nursing toddlers, the more solidarity for you. You'll find that nursing gymnastics is definitely an age and stage thing. It's not comfy, but it's definitely normal.
So we've got a message from Kirsty. My first baby was born in lockdown, and I'm due my second in a few weeks, and I tried breastfeeding with my first, but there wasn't much support during COVID. It was really tough, wasn't it? Health visitor watched my latch and said he was latching fine and there should be no reason why he wasn't feeding. but I ended up having to express breast milk to give him, which was long term. I couldn't manage, so went to formula.
It's really hard to express long term.
I would like to try breastfeeding again this time and be more successful, but anxious due to previous experience.
Of course, yeah,
so that's
totally
really tough for you, and it was very, very tough for a huge number of women in these circumstances, and services were face-to-face, certainly were very, very limited. We were running as a team, but we couldn't see people face-to-face in our clinics for a while.
We had to close our outpatient clinic, so there wasn't
and
that
it was
level
very frustrating for all of us, wasn't it? But the services are up and running now, and there should be lots of support. If you had a difficult time, I would suggest that you give us a call, give the feeding team a call. You don't say how far into the pregnancy you are, but we say normally at around 34 to 36 weeks that we would like to have a conversation with you, and you can refer yourself to us, so you can either ring us or you can
talk to your community
midwife. She can refer, or you can email us.
Or you may find that you get what you need from her, so sometimes community midwife is able to talk through with you, but if you still feel like you need further support, or your community midwife does, then they can refer you to us as well.
Because it is terribly frustrating when it didn't go to plan, and I think that many mothers feel that they haven't succeeded and feel a failure because they haven't done it, but actually you gave your baby breast milk in express breast milk as well, and it was circumstantial, it wasn't anything that you did wrong,
and this time
important.
You've had, your experience is going to help you. The support's better, so I think you'll probably hit the ground running, looking for that support this time, is my guess. And usually we find that mums successfully manage to breastfeed the next time when they've had a difficult experience. So you often it means that you really seek that support out, which has really helped your breastfeeding journey. The things that you can also do while you're pregnant is just have a look at some of our resources on our infant feeding webpage of the hospital website, because on there's links to skin-to-skin videos, those early behaviours that babies play out after birth when you put them skin-to-skin. So when you put a baby skin-to-skin after birth, sometimes they rest for a little while, and then they often start to bang their head against you like this and shake their head from side to side, and they sometimes make a noise like and they might even slump down, and so all of that is actually not your baby being frustrated, that's your baby doing breast searching behaviour, and that's what all little mammals do, and it's absolutely amazing. And so we really need to make sure that mothers and babies are kept together skin to skin, uninterrupted in that first hour or so after birth, because it's such a special sensitive time for baby to play out their feeding behaviours. And we know that babies who are allowed to do that are feeding better from the breast on day 3. So it really is important, and we like to think, because we're humans, we have these enormous brains that we're so good at thinking everything through, but sometimes they don't help us, and we need to try and get in touch with our mammalian behaviour, which is to let that baby play out its natural behaviours after birth, just like any other little mammal would. That can really help breastfeeding get off to a good start, and you can read about that and watch some videos from the resources on our website. So those sort of little things will help you. Of course, your older child looks massive as well when you're about to have another baby, so it just reminds you, it's amazing how quickly you forget, but it reminds you what that newborn behaviour is like, and so that can be a really helpful thing to do in pregnancy if you've had a difficult journey last time. It's just really get yourself familiar again with what happens after birth, that skin to skin, that early attachment, what newborns do and their behaviours. You'll also, like we held up before, you'll get this really great leaflet called Off to the Best Start, which you can view online as well if you Google it, and it is actually basically the bones of everything is in here. The really essentials of what you need to know to get breastfeeding off to a good start is in this book.
It's a good read.
Yeah, it's really simple. It's not information overload. There's some really good attachment photographs in here.
Make sure you look at it. If you're listening and you're pregnant, do open your pack when you're sent home, because there is some very useful information in it that will support you in all aspects. And a lot of mums come back to clinic in the early days and they haven't opened it and seen it, you know. So you do get a lot of information, but that is probably the one that you should open.
Yeah,
and
and there's expressing your milk. There's 2 pages on how to do it, how to store it. So that's really helpful. And I think the last bit, it's a really short leaflet, tells you things like how do you know your baby's getting enough milk? Can you see that on the back page? That tells you about what poos and pees you should be expecting and what colour poo you should be expecting. So literally everything is in that little leaflet. So that might be something, if you've had a difficult journey first time round, just to sort of have a read through that and watch some of the videos of babies skin to skin. But really, there's nothing you can do apart from just be aware that if you feel like things aren't working, then to reach out, get that support early as possible. From if you're having a home birth or a hospital birth, reaching out to the midwives available in those really first few hours and ask for help. If your baby's not managing to attach, ask for some help with some hand expressing, just to give your brain the message that there's a baby there that wants milk, and that really will boost your supply, because it's a lot easier to help with attachment difficulties if there's lots of milk there. If you can reach out in those early days if you need the help, and then a bit later if you feel like it's still painful or your baby's not growing or something's not quite right and you feel, oh no, it's happening all over again, just reach out early. We have a specialist clinic that wouldn't have been open during your first baby during lockdown, but it's Mondays and Thursdays, and you can call us or email us.
At the moment because we're just sort of limited on time.
So we will see patients after day 5, so we can see you and your baby if you need in the specialist clinic, but we would wait until you've had the basic good support from your midwives at home first, and if you're still struggling, then give us a call or email us.
The other thing is that we've just created some QR codes, so on your care plan, if you're coming into hospital to have your baby, there's going to be a QR code at the bottom of your care plan.
He's just having a look to see if
I did bring a care plan. I haven't got the QR code, but I have got the care plan to show you where it's going to be. And it's going to be in the bottom.
Take home with you.
It's going to be in the bottom corner here. It's not there yet. This is not the right one. This is just to some leaflets. But we are putting a sticky on your notes, on your care plan, which will take us to our page. So it will be to the infant feeding web page on the Trust website, and that will link to all of the things that we talk about. So videos and booklets and all the PDFs of those that you can look at, and support groups, links to all of those will be on the QR code. So, do look out for it, and that will link you to what you need to do, and where you can get the information from as well. But those of you that have had your babies won't have access to that because it has only just come into being.
But it does take you to our infant feeding webpage.
But you can go onto our webpage anyway, and that's just if you just go John Radcliffe Hospital infant feeding, then you will find that you will just get taken straight onto that page, and it will give you resources and all sorts of different things, times of clinics and that, and anything else you need to know, contact details of us. And that you will find really helpful. So
Kirsty says she's 37 weeks, so if you think you might want to get in touch with our team,
don't leave it too long.
Yeah, drop us an email or give us a call today or tomorrow, and we'll get back to you.
Trudy's watching. Hello, Trudy. Hello, lovely to see you.
Sorry, I got
the baby, the group in Bicester. And
Katie, we've got Katie.
I'm laughing at you, Jenna, because you're telling me gymnastics, and I'm thinking about all those gymnastics that go on with breastfeeding with a 1-year-old. Katie Bardell, I'm new to the area. This is my first baby, and I'm nearly 32 weeks. Is the hospital easy to walk around, or any advice before appointments due to parking or whatever?
So the John Radcliffe, there's the main hospital, the John Radcliffe at the top of the hill, and then there's a white building which is just a little bit further away from the main hospital, and that's the women's centre. So that's where the maternity is. Yeah, the very top of the hill, white building, that's maternity, so that's women's. So
parking is
you can take a virtual tour, can't you, on the web page? Yeah. It depends where you're hoping to have your baby, Katie. How far you're coming in. How far you're coming in. If you I think of having your baby at home or from in one of the midwifery-led units. We have midwifery-led units at Chipping Norton, Wallingford and Wantage. So yeah, so you can also have your baby there. We also have a midwifery-led unit which is based in the John Radcliffe Women's Centre. It's called the Spires Birth Centre on level 7. So you could also inquire about that. Do you have a community midwife appointment soon, Katie?
She'll be able to talk to you about it.
So you should be able to talk about place of birth at your next appointment with your community midwife. So you could ask her about the various options. Whereabouts are you, or do you not want to say? Or if you don't want to, I understand.
You could have a dummy run if you wanted to, maybe out of hours when it's not so busy. It gets very, very busy in the car park.
I wouldn't suggest driving into the JR if you can avoid it.
In the next few weeks, if you feel that you're not sure where you're going, then take a drive. Incorporate it with going out and meeting somebody or having a cup of tea somewhere. But go and have a test drive so you know where you're going.
Broston Bicester.
Okay, so your community midwife should talk to you about that. But if you're not sure where it is and you've just moved to the area, it's incredibly stressful when you don't know where you are, isn't it?
Doing massive life events all at one go.
I would do a dummy run because then you won't be so stressed when you're in labour if you're worried about it.
And if you're coming into the JR, some families find it easier to just go and park in Waitrose car park in Headington.
In labour, that's not such a good thing.
Maybe not. Depends how early labour you're in. But if you wanted to come and have a nosy round the hospital,
guarantee you'll get a parking place during the day in the hospital. Though it is very stressful.
But saying that, Katie, there is 10-minute drop-offs.
Yeah. So your partner
right
can drive
outside
you to the door.
Yeah. So your partner or whoever's bringing you. Or taxi or whatever can drop you right outside the Women's Centre. There's like an awning that sticks out of the white building at the top of the hill, and there's some 10-minute spaces right there in front of the awning. So if you are, really in labour, you'll be able to be dropped off right there and walk in, and then whoever's accompanying you can go and find somewhere to park and come back. So
if
don't
it's a
worry.
routine appointment or you're you're having scans and things, then we say an hour to get here and park if you're driving on your own. So, Waitrose is a good place in Headington, which is just on the other side of Osler Road.
Yeah.
And you can walk across, and it's about a 10-minute walk. So if you're feeling okay in your pregnancy and you can do that, then try that one. It's a long stay car park in Waitrose as well, and there's people coming and going a bit more often. But it is very stressful. You might want to think about park and ride. So
or have a think about whether a home birth might be. If you're feeling really stressed about the hospital coming in and all the logistics of it. Have a think about your local midwifery-led unit, or maybe even having your little one at home, and chat that through with your midwife, because that's if you've had a low risk pregnancy and you're all normal, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be at home or you shouldn't be in one of the midwifery-led units.
Talk to a midwife about, and there also ask the midwife sessions on Facebook Live that you can ask questions as well if you're not sure. But I think that you're saying that you've got appointments here, so it may be that you're consultant-led care, which is why you're coming in, and that's why you're asking the questions. But certainly, it is very stressful. So do perhaps have a dummy run if you haven't been before, just so you know how long it's going to take you, and the time of day. It's very important. Rush hour
hard to
is
plan
very
for labour,
difficult.
isn't it? Sometimes,
It's very stressful.
Natural labour it comes when it's ready, and you can't know whether it's going to be two in the morning and you're going to have no trouble, and whoever's bringing you will be able to park right opposite in the car park, or whether it's going to be a busy 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, which has got to be possibly the worst day to get a parking place at the hospital. So I think it's hard, isn't it, that level of uncertainty. That's why a lot of people choose to stay home and have their baby at home and go to bed in their own bed.
You'll be fine. You've got something to look forward to, having a lovely baby. That's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it is a stressful time of unknown, and I think everybody feels the same. But I think particularly if you don't know the area, and it might be worth going in to see into Trudy's group and meeting some other mums, or joining an antenatal group where there's other mums in your area that you can meet up with, and they can talk you through some things as well about what's happening in your local area, because that is it is a big thing, moving and having a baby. It's a good way of meeting people though. When you've got a newborn baby, you can't help but meet people. That's the beauty of it. You know, everybody comes up and talks to you when you've got a pram.
It's like walking a dog. Everyone will say, "How old is he? How old is she?
They'll peer into your pram,
is he
don't they?
good? Is she good?" At which point you feel like saying, "No, he's robbed 3 banks."
He's got a tiny little face with a lot of clothes and blankets round, and they, you know, peer inside and have a good look. But you know, don't be afraid to ask silly questions, because that's what it's all about, and that's what your midwives are for. Yeah. So Helen's phoned, and she said message and says she uses the car park Waitrose for
Probably
her
a bit less stressful, I think.
Katie, and it worked very well, and it was easy to find. But obviously for labour, that is not the right answer. You know, it's quite it's far enough away.
Yeah. You might need the walk if you're
and also Park and Ride water eating is very good. It takes you directly to the John Radcliffe. So if you're well and you're you know, able to move about with pregnancy, then that might be an easier option, that you're not having to worry about getting to the hospital. It will just take you straight to the door and back. So, and it's £2 to park instead of you know, a little bit more in the car park. It's not cheap.
You're welcome, Katie, and welcome to Oxfordshire. I hope you find that there's lots of people around here to support you, both out there in the community, in Bicester and in the hospital.
It is an exciting time. One of the things I was going to talk to you about today, because I don't think we've got any more questions at the moment, but please do feel free to keep firing them at us. We've got a few more minutes left. Is times of feeds, because I think that some people don't quite know how long their baby should be feeding for. And so I think it's looking at what's normal, isn't it, with feeds? And some babies are very efficient feeders, and they do a 5-minute feed, and some babies are very much happier feeding more slowly, and they can take up to 40 minutes per breast. So we say anything between 5 minutes and 40 minutes is a normal feed time.
So in your
which
care
is not
plan,
helpful for you if you're
in your care plan,
sure.
This is the thing you'll get when you have your baby, and we use it in the hospital, and then you'll take it home with you. It actually tells you in here. It says that anything, as Naomi said, everything from 5 to 40 minutes, it can be quite normal for a breastfed baby, and when they're exclusively breastfed, breast milk's everything to them, isn't it? So it's a sip of water, it's a full roast dinner, it's 2 chocolate digestives with a cup of tea, it's everything.
Banana.
So you might, if you really write down, it's a fun activity, if you write down everything and don't cheat, everything that passes your lips in 24 hours, so every drink of water and every
it's about
chocolate,
16 or 18 feeds that you have.
It's not that unreasonable really that they come so frequently to the breast, and sometimes your baby will have a fuss and you think, oh, they're hungry, and you'll put them on and they'll have a good feed. You know, you'll hear swallowing and everything, and then they'll go settle off and have a snooze, and then 5 minutes later they'll wake up wanting a bit more, and that's very, very good breastfeeding. That's what we expect. Breastfeeding, sometimes why people struggle with breastfeeding is it's not regimented enough and it's not quantifiable enough, but breastfeeding really isn't like that. Breastfeeding is, you know, a cuddle, it's a sip of water, it's a
feeling
big meal for
insecure,
them.
feeling happy, feeling bored.
So they come to the breast to regulate their emotions and grow their brains. So every time your baby comes and communicates with you by wriggling or turning its face or making little noises or putting its hands in its mouth, that's all feeding cues. We don't wait till babies cry to feed them, that's the absolute last feeding cue. So a crying baby is very, very, very hard to attach to the breast because they put their tongue to the roof of their mouth. So we don't want to miss all those lovely subtle feeding cues that happen before your baby's really upset. So your baby will turn its face towards you, it might become a bit wriggly, and it might put its hands in its mouth or make little noises, and all of those things are those early subtle feeding cues trying to get you to feed it. You can't overfeed a breastfed baby. They will take what they need, and the more frequently you bring them to the breast, the more milk you'll make. It's a simple supply and demand system, and that's how breastfeeding is designed. It's designed to be responsive relationship, and that is really the most important thing. If you don't remember anything else about breastfeeding, it's a responsive relationship where mother and baby communicate with each other without speaking, and that's how babies let their mother know that they need to feed. And if you feed your baby every time, you don't need to worry whether they've had enough. So, and it doesn't matter if they're just. Some people say, "Well, but my baby's using my nipple as a dummy. You know, they don't really want to feed; they just want to comfort suck." But long as it's not uncomfortable for you, and you've got good at multitasking, it doesn't matter. Comfort sucking is a really, really essential part of breastfeeding and how it works, because the comfort suckling helps to stimulate the breast as well, helps to soothe and settle your baby and make them feel sleepy and loved. So it's a really, really important part of breastfeeding. And often we say to mums, don't we, if you think about it, your baby can't be using your breast as a dummy because the breast came first. The baby's using the dummy as a breast, as a fake breast. So what they really want is to be fed, and that's fine, even if it's just because they're sad or they're lonely or they're bored.
And we do give a leaflet out, and you have an appointment with your midwife at about 34 weeks, and it's called Growing Your Baby's Brain, and it's got lots of information about not overfeeding or not spoiling a breastfed baby, because we say you can't spoil a breastfed baby. And cuddling, you can't spoil any baby, so skin to skin, lots of cuddles, but also that includes all the feeding. It grows your baby's brain, and we've got a nice picture here where it's got a watering can and it's feeding. I don't know if we can see that, it's quite shiny, isn't it? Watering can feeding the brain, and it's growing flowers, and that means that you're putting lots of lovely things into your baby's brain cells, which makes it grow more and more, and that means that your baby becomes more alert and more switched on, and learns things, and has positive relationship lessons, and it's good for you as well as a mother. It's oxytocin, so it's a hormone of love, it's a happy hormone, it's a relaxing hormone, and that delivers well-being and peace. And at night, the relaxing, which is in the breastfeeding hormones, also makes you more sleepy. And so you might find when you do a breastfeed, even during the day, and you stop, it makes you feel sleepy.
And remember, that I think that it's partly our society, because it's that idea that rest is for rebels. Sometimes we think because we've breastfed and we feel so drained that somehow breastfeeding is taking a massive toll on our body and making us feel really tired and drained. But actually, it may be that you're getting the effects of that hormone and you're misreading it, and actually that you're just feeling really sleepy and really relaxed and tired, because that's what breastfeeding is meant to put you in sync with your baby. So when your baby's got a full tummy, is feeling sleepy, and you've both breastfed, your body actually also releases a soporific hormone, a hormone that makes you feel very sleepy. So, and sometimes mums can think that they're being drained by the breastfeeding, but they're actually just getting this slight sedative effect where they're feeling a bit sleepy because they've had a good breastfeed with their baby. It's actually a nice thing, but we're kind of misreading it. So in the
night when you're feeding and you're really tired and you get that hormone, and it's like taking a sleeping tablet really at night, you just want to go to sleep, and this is why people worry about feeding at night and trying to get enough sleep, because they feel totally exhausted. And that continues even when your baby starts to sleep more. If you're feeding in the day and the night, you will get those hormones that make you relax, and it's for a reason. It's making you stop doing your things, have time with your baby.
Focus on your baby.
One-to-one, skin to skin. It's really important, all of that responsiveness that you have, the relationship building. And they feel secure, and that's what you want your baby to be. And it's the same if you choose a feeder when you are bottle feeding. So you are the feeder, just like the mother is the feeder that's breastfeeding. If you're bottle feeding and you've just got one or two people identified to feed your baby, the baby and you work together, and even just being with your baby, you don't have those hormone responses when you're not breastfeeding, but you have that time where you sit with your baby and you create that relationship, and that is helping to grow your baby's brain. You're looking into your baby's eyes. All of those things are really important
for babies,
and they release oxytocin and touch. So touch, skin to skin, cuddling, feeling secure, looking into their eyes, identifying who's the feeder, who's feeding your baby. So it might be you and your partner, or you might have another member of the family if you've got support at home. but it had been, just a few people, not passing the baby around to lots of different people. They need to know that they're fed in a certain way, and that person is their feeder for their security.
Vicky, thank you so much for coming on and supporting Katie. She said that she's found some parking on a space app where she has found people's driveways that they're renting out, which are only 5 minutes from the JR. So that could be something to look into, Katie, as well. Thanks, Vicky.
Yeah, really helpful information, and it's lovely that you are all supporting each other. So I think that's all the questions. We haven't had any questions for a while, haven't we? But we are back in a couple of weeks, is it?
Yeah, so every fortnight on a Wednesday at 12 o'clock.
Our
Our commitment is to try and be on time next time.
This week,
but
so
it seems to. Well, no. Also, we had to get a room a bit out of the way. So,
yeah.
But yeah,
we're in some different
we're in
rooms
a different
at the
place
moment.
today. So.
And so I'm sorry if it's been a bit noisy.
Yeah.
We've had people coming and going.
I think they're doing a course next door, so it's been a bit noisy.
Using the room, which we didn't realise they were going to be having a consultation on their computer as well. Which sorry, that's why I disappeared. So sorry for the disturbances we've had. I don't know where we are next time. Are we in the other room?
This is the only spurious one. We're back
to where we were, which is a bit more
yeah.
quiet and a bit more away from people.
Yeah.
So hopefully you found some of the things we've talked about helpful. And if you have been prompted to think, I should have asked that, and you're not sure, then you can email us, or you can join us in the next session, or ask your local healthcare provider, so that might be your health visitor or your midwife if you've got any questions, and also the local services that we've already talked about, and hopefully that you will be able to contact us if you're worried about anything. So we look forward to speaking to you in a couple of weeks' time.
Great.
Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
I can't do that, can I? You've got to do it this way.
Bye-bye.